This is Waldorf,
And this is Statler.
and today we're doing the long-awaited Ogre Khans Army Book
Review.
review.
Now that the freeze is in place, we had put our Army Book reviews on hold because
Because they were all going to be changing every
they're
couple
going to be
months.
changing every couple of months. But now that we know there's a freeze, we're going to be going through all of them, and we're going to start with Waldorf's favorite opponent, the Ogre Khans.
The Ogre Khans. Yeah, typically. I mean, we've already covered. We've done change reports for the
Right.
big ones. Our Sylvan, Equitane.
Well, we have to do Sylvan
Orcs.
still, but we haven't done.
Did we? We didn't do that lately.
No, we did it for Equitane, we did it for Orcs and Goblins.
Well, I guess Ogre Khans wins the draw, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. It wins a
All
lot of
right.
things.
So we'll start off with a nice picture of a banner. I like this banner.
I like their emblem, and I like that it's a banner. I think it's cool. I
Yep.
think I mentioned once before.
You did. You mentioned that before.
If
That
everybody had banners, it'd be kind of a neat thing.
All right. Army-wide special rules is just the index, nothing major. Army-wide special rules. All units in the army that carry a standard have the Scrappling Lookout special rule. Rank and file models units fewer than 3. Okay. This is basically mean takes 3 models to be the old Lookout Sir.
Yeah, this
Right.
is an old holdover from GW.
Yeah.
The scrapping lookout, but it's okay. To me,
It's
not.
nice. With the smaller units, it's fine.
Yeah.
That means it's harder to hit the guy with a catapult.
Yeah,
I don't object to this at all.
No,
This is fine.
kind of actually wish it was a general rule for monstrous things.
Oh, correct.
Yeah.
Rather than just them.
Yeah, yeah.
Special rules. They have Sons of the Avalanche. They gain impact hits 1, and characters on foot gain D3 impact, and you're immune to fear. That's a big bonus.
Right.
I think that's good. They used to cause fear
Yes.
way back.
That's
Now,
a change.
since they took away fear from them, making immune to fear, I think that's fine for them.
And their impact hits work the same as everybody else's impact hits. Not that there's that many impact hits left in the game, but so it's something to make them a little fun.
Correct. I still think though fear and terror should be 2 different levels. Just because you're immune to fear, you should not be immune to terror.
Yeah,
But that's always just been me.
yeah.
I mean, because even an ogre's going to be scared of a big, huge, giant monster.
Sure. Well, maybe. I'm okay with the way they've done it. I mean, one half doesn't the other.
Right.
Of the things that have bothered me in the rules, that's not one of them.
No, it's a carryover though.
Yeah.
I mean, it's something they can easily change. And we have Stone Skin.
Don't know why this is an army-wide special. Just put it under the unit, but whatever.
Yeah. Because I think only one model
Yeah,
has it.
it's just the one model. I mean, it's a formatting thing. It's not a big deal.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's why is it a special? Anyway.
Yeah.
They take half wounds from multiple wound stuff.
Right.
It's a nice ability.
It is a nice spell. I like it for that particular model. I wouldn't mind it for a few things in the game.
Well, the Equitane guy can get that, right? There's a magic item that gets
He has a
him
magic item that does that. Yes.
It's kind of nice. And that brings us to
The armory.
and in
This
the
is
first,
this is an armory. This is a army that has an armory. I mean, most do,
correct.
except for Equitane.
What's the first item in the armory?
The Iron Fist.
Okay.
The
What is
Iron
the
Fist
Iron Fist
of
you
all
speak of?
seeing and all capabilities. That
This is the most broken. I mean, for a piece of common equipment.
+1 armor save, so it acts as a shield.
Yep.
Unless using another weapon.
Correct.
Gains parry, so it acts as
Acts as a hand weapon shield,
Hand
even though
weapon
you're
shield
getting
combo.
the additional, even though you're getting the second attack.
and you're getting a even with magical, and you can actually get to use it with mounts,
Yep.
and it counts as paired weapons.
Paired weapon. So that
So
would
it
be
increases your armor, your attacks, and your initiative.
armor attacks, initiative,
And protection.
and parry.
I think what it needs is to make it perfect. It should increase your leadership by 1. That would make it perfect.
Well, they got the other thing to do.
They
that.
do,
We'll
but
get
it
to
wouldn't.
that
It's not
later,
the same.
but
So, but
it's
yeah.
not the same. But it might as well.
Yeah,
It might as well.
And it's slightly pricey, as you'll see when we get to the units. But this thing just does too much.
Not pricey based on what it does.
Not what it does. No.
I mean, all right. I'm sorry. Every army, to me, is supposed to have weaknesses and strengths.
Yes.
Weaknesses and strengths. Ogres, big, tough guys, 3 wounds each. But it's okay, because they're slow. You can get through them and hurt them before they get to you.
They're not particularly well armored.
And they're not well armored. Well, now...
And if you do beat them, they don't have great leadership.
Now they're better armored. So therefore it's harder to kill them. Which makes it doubly worse, because now they get an extra attack coming back at you. Their low weapon skill means now they're parry, so they can't be hit on... They have to be on 4s.
Any kind of mediocre to good troops only hits them on 4s.
Yeah.
The parry and the initiative boost is what I think is
too broken.
Is just too much.
It's bad.
Especially when you can put it on the monstrous cavalry. That's just insane. It's like, okay, they don't have as good as armor save as they used to have, but
correct.
You don't have to have a good armor save when no one's hitting you.
All right. Moving on from that, I guess that's what it is. Brace of Ogre pistols. Range 24, strength 4, quick to fire, armor piercing 1, multi-shot 2, counts as paired weapon in close combat. Fine.
It's basically...
It's a brace of pistols for anybody.
And it's kind of the same thing they had in the old days, which their pistols were really handguns.
Yeah, so. And since you're an ogre, your pistol's a handgun.
Right.
So, this is fine. Not a big deal. Ogre crossbow. I've actually not seen this very often. Range 30, strength 2, 5 on 5.
Well, you can only take it on the character, right? And on the big Gribbly.
The big hunter guy?
Yeah. Okay. The hunter guy or the mammoth.
Okay.
But yeah, it's basically a light bolt thrower.
Next one we have is the hunting spear. Range 12, user strength +1. Quick to fire, multi wounds D3 versus monsters and ridden monsters.
This is also on the hunter or on the mammoth.
Shooting weapon. Okay.
Yeah.
It's a shooting weapon.
Mm-hmm. It's a short range.
Looks kind of like a throwing weapon though, but you only get one, I guess, this way.
Yeah.
Okay. So instead of getting multi-shot with a throwing weapon, you get strength +1.
Mm-hmm.
And multi-wounds versus monsters.
Right.
Okay. Shouldn't that say towering presence instead of monsters?
One would think, yes.
So, what do we got next?
We have big names. So these are additional abilities that ogre characters can take in addition to magic items.
Okay.
Kind of like marks with Warriors of Dark Gods or virtues.
Virtues for the Equitane.
So it just helps you make the guys, that much more scary. They're limited to 1 per army.
You can't duplicate it.
So you don't see, and it's just additional stuff.
Okay.
So it gives them a flavor. However, the first one, the Hell Fist, it's very expensive, but it doesn't come out of your character points.
It does not, and does not require.
It doesn't come out of your. Sorry, that comes out of your character points. It doesn't come out of your magic item points.
Correct.
It's basically a standard bearer that you don't have to field another model to get.
Right.
And not only is that the case, and it does reduce your shamans, and it does limit what magic you can take.
Yeah, and your powder keg goes down.
Yes, but basically, you get to all your leadership tests with no limit.
Correct.
Except for insignificant guys.
Anywhere on the board.
Yes.
Yes. Army list with the Hell Fist. That doesn't mean your character with the Hell Fist.
Yes.
The army list has the Hell Fist in it. You get to reroll. You reroll like you got a BSB anywhere on the board.
Correct. And if you kill him, that means you still get to keep it.
Kill him, it doesn't matter because it's still in place.
So this is just bad because...
This is terrible.
Once again, to the earlier point...
Oh, I mean, I would pay 240 points in any of my armies.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So it's not terrible in that manner speaking.
But I mean, it's terrible in that it's something that's covering up a weakness of the army, which is their leadership with at a nominal cost, and then you can't even eliminate it. Even like buff wagons or dudes, you can kill them.
Right, BSB you can kill, a buff wagon you can kill.
Don't care. And there are trade-offs, but
this you cannot.
Ogre armies can get by without magic anyway, so it's not such a big thing, at least at the moment.
Yeah.
So this thing, I think, if you have the US Army, you take this because it's just so good.
It's almost written in on your general.
Yeah, absolutely.
Rotten Jaw is 70 points. Bear gains poison attacks. Not that big. For the duration of one single close combat, all models in the character unit gains poison attacks, and the player must declare at the start of a round that they are using this ability. This is kind of interesting. I don't think it's great, but I think it's useful on a unit with ogres with iron fists, because you're putting out a lot of attacks. They might as well be poison.
Sure, it's interesting. And it's not cheap.
Top.
It's not overpaid, but for 70 points.
Old 35, not a big. I keep having to say the old 35
exactly.
in my head.
Yeah, I do the same thing. So it's okay. But it's not. Yeah, it's not one I'd put on the top of the list.
Now this one.
The Troll Leader.
Troll Leader. Your bear gains Regeneration 4 and Stupidity. In addition, you gain Multi-Wound 2 versus Monstrous Infantry.
Right.
For 70 points.
Yes.
I don't understand. And this, just in this edition, went up from a 5 regeneration to a 4.
Yes.
It just got better.
Absolutely. I mean, a trade-off is stupidity, but with a decent leadership, and now if you take
army-wide BSB,
if you take an army with the reroll,
table-wide BSB,
it's not such a scary thing. So basically, you're getting regen and multi-wounds against monsters. Interesting, not that there's a lot for ogres to fight against,
since they are the big guys.
Because they are the big guys. I mean, you run into them occasionally.
Plenty of Shabdis or Treekin or whatever they.
So you run into them. So that's a nice thing. So, but yeah, I think that it's the cost seems to be a little off.
Cost seems low.
Yeah.
To me,
considering what you pay for Regen 4 on otherwise. Brings us to Headhunter at the end of any close combat phase in which the bear has killed one or more models and is not fleeing. Roll a d6 and roll 3 up. It recovers a single wound.
This is a nice ability.
This is a nice little item.
It's priced too cheap if anyone didn't take one of these above it. The problem is you need a third character to carry this.
Well, that's the problem with all of these. I mean, you have a lot of good choices to work with. But I think it's okay for what it is. I mean, first you got to win. So
which the bear has killed one. You just got to kill a guy, right?
Yeah. Oh, you kill. I'm sorry.
You kill one model.
Yeah.
And gain a wound. Now, I guess the downside,
it's kind of like the undead thing, but with a better die roll.
Yeah. And cheaper. But the benefit to this, the downside, I guess, is if you get the guy in a challenge, he can't regain wounds until he actually kills you.
Correct.
So he's not regrowing as you're fighting him.
Right.
So I guess that's somewhat of a limitation.
It's better fighting against, one wound models. Clearly.
Yeah, rank and file.
Yeah.
Yep. So we have the Spine Splitter. Models on foot gains Devastating Charge, Thunderous Charge, and the strength from Thunderous Charge also affects impact hits and stomps. This is pretty nice.
This is very nice.
Devastating Charge and Thunderous Charge. So
an extra attack and a +1 strength to your attack.
Correct, including
you're already strength 5, so you're
including your impact and stomp.
Yeah, and then you get the impact too. It's a very nice item.
And if you got an ogre behind you, that goes up even one more.
Or 2, depending on how many you got behind you. But it's very nice. I mean, it's limited to you have to get the charge off to get the ability.
Correct. Yeah, so I mean, I can see this.
Yeah.
For 40 points. Right?
Yeah, it's a nice thing to take.
Yeah, and it's got enough of a limitation because you have to have charged.
Right.
It only affects the round you charge. So
Correct.
It's going to benefit you maybe twice a game.
Yeah, maybe.
Sometimes. Yeah. Anyway. Horde Master I've seen taken. Kagans only. Bearer gains Weapon Master and Plate Armor. And may purchase any number of mundane close combat and shooting weapons available to him rather than just one of each type. So I've seen this around to give the guy plate armor, give him good armor save, and weapon master.
Yeah, no, I mean the ability to you're getting the plate armor for that cost by itself makes it
Yeah,
worthwhile.
that is.
You
But
know?
the downside, of course, means you're not taking the spine splitter.
Sure, sure.
You're not taking the troll eater.
Well, that's going to be the problem with all these. You can only handle some. The characters are not cheap.
Correct.
But you only have so many characters, so you can only take so many of these. But it doesn't mean that it's still a
Still a very good ability
It's
for
a
the
nice
price.
it's a nice ability.
Again, maybe a little too cheap.
Yeah.
Considering you're getting plate armor out of it.
Right.
Wildheart.
Yep.
Mammoth Hunter only. Mammoth Hunter with a big name loses not a leader special rule. A single Mammoth Hunter in the army may be upgraded by BSB for 50 points. Core is reduced to a minimum 20.
20.
The army may not include Coggins, Bruisers, Mercenary. Ugh. So this lets you turn on Mammoth Hunter into your BSB.
Right.
Ugh. But the core is reduced, which is a good thing.
Basically, it looks like they're making you take more of a feral army.
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
So it's got a lot of, I mean, there are minuses because it's limiting, but your core is also reduced to 20. So
Yeah. Would anybody take this? Your mercenaries are gone.
the mercenaries are the problem because
Yeah.
they're just so good.
I mean, bombardiers are really good. Mercenaries are really good. Yeah. Why would? Yeah, I don't see this being used much.
I think it'd be more used on a theme army.
Fluffy
I still
army.
think these things you can do with the army. They're still ogres.
Yeah.
The bigger challenge is when you look at the options. You've got a couple that are just so good. Then the other ones are good, but you're only going to have so many characters.
All right.
So, but there's nothing that's bad. I don't think there's anything that's bad.
I don't think there's anything there bad.
You know, there's a couple that are situational.
Like the Wild Heart, I think is the least of all of them.
Yeah,
But other than that, and this Rotten Jaw may be a bit overpriced.
well,
But
it is giving it to the whole unit, so I think
one
it's fine.
round.
Sure, per
But-
combat
What's that?
in one single combat
One
phase.
combat phase.
Yeah,
So, anyway. Yeah, I think that may
Okay.
be a little bit overpriced, but those are fine. So,
brings us to magical items.
Okay.
First one we have magical weapons. Kagadai's Maul. It's a great weapon. Attacks made with this weapon gain multiple wounds D3. 110 points. Hold 55 points.
so what do you think about this one?
I think, well, now that we have Jack's pickaxe,
Which is what, 130?
yes,
That does D3 only to
certain
towering
troop
presence?
types, yes. This looks particularly good.
Well, the downside to this is a great weapon.
Yes,
So you have to have survived the round to fight back.
in theory.
Yeah, and you're only toughness 5 with 5 wounds, so
Yes,
that's going to be kind of rough to do.
yes. I've never been a fan of high multi-wound weapons for characters that have a lot of high strength attacks without abilities.
Correct.
I've always preferred, from a concept, this is a personal thing, the weaker characters, humans, they have the magic items and things that allows them to fight the big gribbly
Correct.
characters, and the big gribbly characters just have their innate abilities, maybe. So conceptually, I'm not a fan of that, but
Yeah.
this is great because basically I only have to get one wound and I can probably
This one,
I have a third of a chance of killing a
this
character.
item really bothers me a
Yeah.
lot. Simply because, like you just said, no human character, orc for that matter,
Yes,
can go against this guy
and
on a
survive.
one-on-one fight and win. I've got my orc has 4 attacks. I guess if I load up with the actually a apocalypse and things like that, then I might get through and kill him before this
You
comes
basically have to hope you can kill this guy
off. Yeah,
beforehand and have something that can get that many wounds through of his armor and his ward saves
yeah.
before he hits you. Or you have to have something that, nullifies the multi-wound. But, yeah, no, I think for this army, this one's a bit much.
The big thing is I don't think the ogre character needs this.
I don't know if it was just 2 wounds. If it was multi-wound 2, I'd be okay with it.
Yeah.
At least you're not single, single wounding a character.
Yeah. On the downside, he can roll a 1.
He can, but I mean, I don't like the variable generally. But
Yeah, that means. But again, when I'm typically in a game with this, and this is a popular item, of course.
absolutely, it's popular. Why wouldn't it?
This one and the one below it are the two that are always around. But
yeah,
this one is, if you're in it, you cannot get in. You can't fight him with a character.
no.
You can't let him get a hold of a character.
And even on a monster,
Because, like you
it's
said,
risky because you're out.
A single wound gets through.
Yep.
And it's strength 7.
Yep.
So you're not going to have armor.
Exactly.
So a single wound gets through your ward,
There's a good chance you're dead.
and he's got 5 attacks.
Yep.
So
Good weapon skill, so chances are 2 of them are going to get through.
at least. So anyway,
yeah, even ones on big monsters have concerns.
maybe if this was 200 points and cost everything you had to carry.
Yeah, maybe.
Anyway, then no one would take it. Great, fine.
Yeah.
What a shame.
To me, it's just they don't need the multi-wound. I don't mind adding strength. I just don't think they need the multi-wound. You either have multi-wound or you have lots of attacks. You do one of the two, I think.
Right.
You get there in different ways. You can't have both. Just too much.
Moving on, we have the Heart Ripper for 60 points.
Yep. Old 30.
This is an Iron Fist, so it's giving you the
all the
extra
special
attack.
rules for Iron Fists.
Attacks made with this weapon will always hit on a 3 or better.
Yep.
Regardless of any negative modifiers or parry, and gain lethal strike and armor piercing.
Yes.
This is fantastic.
It's very nice.
This is fantastic. Always hitting on a 3 or better.
Yes, at least it doesn't improve the strength.
It does not.
Of course, I have lethal strike and armor piercing to compensate.
Because if but he's probably already got strength 5 anyway.
Right, he'll be strength 5.
And lethal strike and armor piercing, correct.
Which basically makes it the same as
Strength 6.
yeah.
Whatever, and yeah.
Plus.
Anyway. Plus some.
Yeah.
Wow. That's a nice item.
It's very nice for the points that you're paying for it.
Yeah. Always hit on 3 or better. Oof. Okay.
So, yeah. Brings us to the Axe-Breaker Gauntlets. It's another Iron Fist. If the wielder scores 1 or more hits in a single round of combat using this weapon against an enemy model with a magic weapon, roll a d6. Roll the rune and roll a 3 up. All magical weapons wielded by this enemy model are reverted to its mundane type for the rest of the game. There's a couple of these in the game that do this.
There are. I thought the Equitane one is on a 4 up, but maybe it's changed. This one only costs 40 points. It's dirt cheap.
Yeah, old 20. It's cheap.
Yeah.
Another Iron Fist.
The only reason you won't see it, of course.
Well, at least the Iron
Fists
Fists are under magic weapons and not under magic armor.
So you can still take this and stack up your armor?
Yes.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, could you imagine one of these things with a magic weapon?
Ooh, wow. The Mammoth Hide Cloak, back to magic armor. Models on foot only. That gives you a 6 up armor save, +1, however you want to go about that. The wielder is hit by an attack with strength value of 6 or more. The strength attack is reduced to 5. Another great item.
Very nice.
When you're a toughness 5 guy, this is basically saying you can't be wounded on better than a 4.
Yep. Absolutely. For 60 points.
So 60 points to make sure he has no better than a 50-50 chance of wounding you.
Yep. Which brings us to Yeti first, 40 points.
Okay.
Old 20. Armor save 6, so it's an additional armor. Any units in base contact with his wearer suffer -1 initiative to a minimum of 1.
Enemy units.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Again, one of the ogre's problems is low initiative, right?
Yes.
So you take your Iron Fist and bump your initiative and put somebody with this in there and lower theirs.
And then, and it's...
Now you're fighting on par with, you can fight the elves.
Yeah. And this is just ridiculous because it's, just the whole unit in base contact. It's
Correct.
It's just not striking the character.
Exactly.
It's
not targeting the character.
Yeah.
This is fantastic.
It is fantastic.
40 points.
And you get an armor save out of it.
Well, it has to. It's armor.
Yeah, exactly.
Wouldn't be under the armor heading otherwise. We got the blind eye of Nyage.
Young guy.
Nyage?
I don't,
Whatever.
I don't speak Mongolian.
You got the blind eye. It's
Yes.
one use only. Activate during your opponent's magic phase after rolling magic flux and channeling. The bearer's unit cannot be targeted by the opponent's non-aura spells during that phase. In the old days, I would have said this was awesome. But now with the magic being kind of toned down, I'm not that crazy about this.
I mean, I don't generally like one-use items anyway.
It's a one-use item. It's
Unless-
fairly cheap.
Unless
but,
they do something important. Yeah, I'm not a fan of this item.
I mean, I guess you can have it and then be able to not worry about getting debuffed in a combat that you need to win.
Yeah, if it's not an aura debuff.
It's not an aura. Most
Yeah.
debuffs aren't auras.
Yeah, so
Anyway. But you're still not stopping your opponent from boosting himself.
exactly, and you're
Yeah.
not stopping, other things hitting you. So yeah, I'm not a fan.
So the Aurochs Charm, 30 points. Bearer of this item gains Stone Skin Special, which is half wounds.
Yep.
How much was that Equitane item again? Do you remember? Off the top of your head, roughly?
60, I believe.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah,
Well, maybe this is old 30, and that's
Yeah,
about the
yeah.
same.
yeah.
Well, you're only doing it to a 3-wound guy, so that's not as good. Oh, never mind. Never mind. Let's move
No,
on.
it's
It's a great item. It's a dirt cheap.
it is a great item. It's broken if you put the guy on on Thunder Tusk or whatever the hell the thing's called now, the Mammoth.
I don't think it works. Well, he's already got the one thing. Rock's already got it.
Yeah.
The Stone Skin. The bearer of this, not the
Mhm.
bearer's unit, so it doesn't apply to your monster.
Think so.
Correct. Because it has to say is your the unit or the whatever.
To be the mount.
Correct.
Okay. Then I said I mean it's good. It's probably a little cheap.
It's cheap. Other than that, it's fine.
It's fine. I mean, I don't mind it. It's your characters have 4 or 5 wounds, but it's for the type of army. I think it fits them okay.
Right. Well, again, and I hate you're not supposed to compare something in one army to something in the other army.
Right.
Because it's the armies are completely different. There's a different meta
Yes.
for each army or whatever. But I look at this and I'm like, well, if I if I take this with a human, this item with a human, I can still get single shotted by some
Right.
things out in the game. Some things still do D6 wounds,
Correct.
which can short down to 3 and kill me.
Right.
If I take this with an ogre, that means I'm immune to getting killed by a 6 something that does 6 wounds.
Correct.
Because I got 5.
Right.
So to me, this is much better for an ogre,
It is.
and it's going to be used multiple times. The other guy is going to use it once. He's going to have 1 wound left. It's not going to matter if you have his
Right.
wounds. Anyway, it's too cheap for what it is. I don't
Yeah.
see it used a lot.
Especially
But-
if you get that ability where you can get your wounds back.
Yeah.
You stack the two together.
All right.
The Demon Heart, 50 points, 1 use only. Activate during the opponent's magic phase. After rolling for magic flux and channeling during the phase, all enemy wizards in 24 of the bearer will suffer a miscast on a successful casting rolls that include any double. This miscast is resolved at one if
One more.
one more magic dice were used.
Yeah.
As if one more magic. Yeah. Only double sixes count as overwhelming power, and no more than one miscast can be suffered per round. Bound spells are not affected. This is kind of an old holdover item too.
Bear will suffer a miscast on a successful casting roll that include any double. Okay. Okay.
So this can be with the current, depending on the opponent, with the current miscast table. This can be quite good. But also with the number of armies that aren't playing with magic anymore, it could be a
Correct.
total waste.
Yeah.
So, and it is an arcane item, so you're trading it for probably a dispel scroll.
Unless you're playing without magic. Oh, then you can't. You take it.
Right,
Oh,
it's
never
an
mind.
arcane item. So yeah.
Yeah, that was dumb. All right. Here's another item that's okay. Magical Standard. The Dragon Skin Banner. Miles and the Bear's units may reroll to hit, to wound, and armor saves of 1 in the first round of combat.
For 80 points.
Including special attacks. So your stomps and your impact hits.
Yeah.
I think this is okay. What do you think?
It's okay, except for the price.
It's 80 points.
Yeah.
It's 80 points. It means it goes on that unit of Tusker Cav.
If it was 80 old points, it'd be okay.
That unit of, 3 Tusker Cav that have
3 or 4.
21 attacks and impact hits and stomps. Yeah. I would say that's pretty good.
Yes.
I'm kind of liking this item.
Yeah, I like it too. I wish I had it in one of my armies.
This is a fantastic item.
No.
And again, I see it all the time. Tells you how good it is.
It's too good for the points.
Yeah.
I mean, all 3 abilities, maybe 2.
Hit, wound, and armor.
Well, the hit and the wound together, that combination is just
that's incredible. That's really
incredible. And then to give that to a unit that has a lot of attacks.
Yeah, I mean, this is made for the Tusker Cav.
Tusker Cav or the mercenaries,
because they've got a 3-up armor.
Yeah.
So they're only failing on 1s and 2s against light attacks.
Right.
And re-rolling your 1s.
Yeah.
And you're right, your mercenaries who put out
because I don't care about the +1 armor, the 1 on the armor save. I mean, it's nice. It's a nice to have. It's the other 2 abilities are just so incredible.
Yeah.
Either one would be fine, but both of them is. The 2 wound is what really makes it, I think, even worse.
Yeah, because you're wounding probably a lot of times wounding on close to a 1.
Yeah, I mean, depending on what you're fighting and who you're fighting, but yeah, it's just it's what's actually worse when you're not even wounded, when you're wounding on a 4 because of tough things, the reroll is even more valuable.
Yeah, that's true.
And the weaker the attack, the more important the reroll is.
The more times you're going to miss.
Yes. So you get more out of it. So, which brings us to the skull of, who knows, Quinget. Quinget.
There's no Q. I thought you always had to have a U after a Q.
Not in this language. Not in Ogreese.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, I'll take that.
20 points, old 10s, cheap. I love cheap items.
Cheap items are awesome.
Modeled in the Bears unit cause fear and automatically pass terror tests.
Another great item. I like this a lot.
So you become fear-causing for 10 points.
Yeah. That's pretty good. What do you think?
Yeah. I'm just trying to think of some other items that allow you to cause fear and what they cost.
Reduce your opponent's leadership by 1.
Yeah.
For the most part.
Yeah, for just 10 points. I'd love to have that as a banner.
That's pretty good.
Yep.
Wow. All right.
So overall, I think the the magic items are a little undercosted. There's a lot of good choices here.
There's fantastic choices.
The only limitation really here is you can only afford so many characters.
Right. I don't think there's many bad things here. I mean, the talisman I'm not crazy about.
I'm not a fan of the talisman.
This demon heart thing I'm not that crazy about. Other than that, this is awesome. Anyway.
Then we have army organization. So their breakdown are 40% character, so it's the new
kind of
average.
The new standard.
Yeah, core is 25, so they have a baseline core, no limit on special, which is standard. And they have 2 categories. One is powder keg, which is basically shooting units, 35%. So they can be reasonably shooty. And they have chain beasts, which are their big griblies.
Okay.
So on the surface, not a bad mix. One would think that this army would have more core, and
because they have such good core.
because of the nature of the army and the core.
All right. So we have the Coggins.
Yep, or Kagans.
Kagans. I can never figure that out.
Yeah.
You have the Great Khan and the regular Khan.
Yep. Toughness 5, strength 5, both of them. Decent weapon skill. Toughness 5 on both. 5 wounds on the Great Khan and 4 wounds on the Khan. 4 attacks on the Khan, 5 on the Great Khan, and initiatives. So this is actually a somewhat rare case where the 2 characters have, pretty different stat lines. You don't see that as much anymore.
Five things get a bump. For the 150 points
for the old Lord level guy. So So
including
that's interesting.
The wounds,
right?
Which the new, most of the humans and
most stuff you don't see that stuff. You see a change in attacks mostly, and sometimes leadership,
weapon skill,
and weapon skill. So that's interesting. It comes with heavy armor, so that's built into the cons.
Okay, so then that makes the other army not so. Remember the one that gave you plate? Maybe that's not so bad.
Yeah,
Since you've already got heavy.
potentially.
You're paying for the +1.
Right.
Anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
So you have Sons of the Avalanche, standard rule, which is fine. They're 360 for the Khans and Great Khans, and 210 for the Khan. The basically that's an old 105, and for an Uber hero, it's a good price for a character.
Mm-hmm. It is. Khan can be the BSB for 50, but why would you do that anymore?
With the item, absolutely.
Correct. Unless you're really dead set against taking that thaumaturgy lore and wanting mages,
Yeah,
which I don't see.
yeah, I don't think they. And then you see that the Iron Fists is 30 points, so the old equivalent of 15. Yes.
Ooh,
And I
that's
think
the
the
same-
the magic one was 40, if I remember correctly.
Oh,
so,
and it's the same price for the Great Khan as the Khan?
yeah. Actually, this is the only thing that's different is the great
Wow.
weapon.
Okay.
Even the brace of pistols, which counts as dual hand weapons. So
Wow. This is just so cheap.
yeah,
Oh, I think my Goblin character pays 10 points for a extra attack.
yes,
And you can't shoot with it.
yep.
Oh, okay.
Now it's cheap.
Whatever. Great weapons 30,
And you-
40. Yeah.
Right. Now these guys get a lot more expensive because you're going to take those big names. And you're going to
Yeah.
take magic weapons. So
Well, you throw that other Khan thing and you're already at that
Yeah.
Hellfist and you're already at
if
600
you're playing
points.
with cons, they're probably 400 points by the time you're done with them.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
which means in a 4,500 point game, you can only have 10 of them. No, I'm kidding. Just kidding.
Can you have no? Just,
No, you can have like three.
I think
4.
you're limited, aren't you?
Yeah, of course you're limited.
Are you? Yeah, whatever the
40%. Yeah,
40%.
I'm just being silly.
Yes. Ugh.
But you can
All
have an okay number of characters still, because they don't have to pay for horses.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah,
You know?
like some other armies.
Let me check something real quick. This guy's almost twice as much as a horse.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, just checking.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. We have the Shaman for 240. Apparently, he's got a bump in weapon skill. I think he went down in weapon skill and toughness for a while.
Yeah.
Those people were using him as as their fighty guys.
Well, they made toughness 5 again, so
Yeah.
he's more resilient than he was.
Back to being very resilient.
Yeah.
240 points. Spells, blah, blah, blah,
So they have shamanism, thaumaturgy, and pyromancy.
yeah, but you're probably going to be limited to this because you're going to have that Hellfist in your list.
If you go in that direction, potentially, yeah.
Is there another direction?
Yeah, I don't think it's an auto take. I mean, if you only have one mage, you may just go dispel scroll, because I think you're only going to have one mage in this army.
No, I'm saying the Hellfist. The Hellfist, that BSB item is going to force you into
Oh,
this
yes.
path.
That's true. Yes.
So they might as well just cross
I'm sorry, I
these
was
two off.
confusing with the other item. Yeah.
Yeah, just cross these two off
Yeah, for the moment.
because you're only
yeah.
carrying that.
Yeah.
What
What I'm saying is, I think if you're going shaman, you probably don't take that item for whatever, because you're going with a different theme.
I thought you said these things were expensive. That Iron Fist is 8 points.
He's only got 3 attacks, weapon skill 4.
Yeah. So that means he gets a bigger benefit out of it
Yeah.
because things can hit him on 3s.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think if I remember correctly, it costs more on the guy than it costs on him. On a regular ogre.
Wow. Mammoth Hunter. Hunting Spear, Light Armor, Sons of the Avalanche. Wow. He's got a lot of rules, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does.
He's light troops. He's not a leader. He's got Swift Stride. Mammoth Hunters on foot may only join units of Yetis and Saber-Tooth Tigers. What? And only as long as no other characters form part of the unit already. Other characters cannot join Yetis and Saber-Tooth Tigers with the Mammoth Hunters joined to it. Mounted Mammoth Hunters may not join units at all.
I'm actually curious. I haven't seen anybody take him with Yetis.
In a unit of Yetis?
Yeah. We had your battle reports where somebody actually took him with the other guys. But
Correct, with the, Saber-Tooth
yeah,
Tigers.
right.
So he can ride a Rock or a Tusk.
Correct.
seen people run him on a Tusker
Right.
a lot. And now I've seen some people run him on foot. So he
Yeah.
can take a big name. He can take 100 points of magic items.
Yep.
So he's a hero level type, I guess. Leader of the pack he can take, which changes his base to 50-50.
Right.
And he can, when he joins you,
Base
Saber Tusk,
Sabertooth.
it loses Saber insignificance, so you get the
Right.
reroll.
Gains Vanguard and Mammoth. That was a unit you recently fought against.
Mm-hmm. And he counts as having War Beast troop type.
Right.
So basically, only for the purpose of distributing hits.
Yeah, you can change his spear.
So he basically becomes protected by the beasts around him.
Correct.
Okay.
He can change his spear for a ogre crossbow. That's fine. Paired weapons are 10, so they're quite cheap on him. But Iron Fist is 30.
30.
Same as the other guys. He could have a lance, which only matters if you're mounted, of course. And a great weapon. This is interesting. A lot of times lances cost the same points as great weapons, but not for this guy.
Because they should be cheaper.
They should be, but
Lance should always be cheaper.
but they're not generally. May take Scout, Tusker, or the Rock and loses light troops.
You can take Scout for 20. Wow.
Yeah,
That's nice. That's actually a really nice ability.
that is nice.
I mean, he's a guy walking around on his own
Yes.
if you do that, but that's he's
No, I think they did a good job because this guy you didn't see him.
a strength 5, toughness 5 guy with 4 wounds walking around on his own.
And Warhammer, the equivalent guy, you never saw this guy.
Correct.
Now I think at least they made him interesting.
Yeah. I don't know why the paired weapons entry is in here.
Oh yeah, you never take it.
So, anyway. And he can be mounted on these two.
Right. 450 for the Rock. So
450 for Rock?
Yeah.
Is that what it said?
Yeah.
Okay. It's a nice monster.
It
It's
is.
a really nice monster.
it is.
This big 3d3 strength 7 impact hits is what
Right.
puts it
And
way
we'll talk about it when we get to it. But yeah. Brings us to core.
Okay.
And never remember the names of anything. I always get it wrong. First, we have tribesmen. They come with paired weapons, light armor, Sons of Avalanche in their scoring. They can take Iron Fists for 14 points a model, so cheaper than a mage. I mean, more than a mage. I'm sorry.
More than a mage.
I meant to say. And you get your normal upgrades: champion, musician, standard bearer. And we've had this conversation many times about why everyone pays the same cost for these upgrades when
Right.
particularly champion, when it has
Champion bothers me the most.
when it has such an impact on things. Champion bothers me, musician bothers me because that's about how fast you are and stuff. So, but you basically they're always going to have Iron Fist because the thing that makes these guys so good. I mean, they have low weapon skill 3. Iron Fist just totally takes care of that.
And their initiative is low at 2.
Low initiative 2 takes care of that. So you get basically they end up being
and only 3 attacks, so why not bump it to 4?
exactly.
And that'll bump their armor down to 5,
Yep.
which is nothing.
After they get their impact hits.
Not a big
Yeah,
deal.
the armor's. I mean, I'm glad they fixed that at least.
For a while, they were giving them the option.
You could have heavy armor for a while. Yes, they made it like you would only take these guys in core.
Okay.
But yeah,
It's a really nice, solid core
it's,
unit.
there's nothing wrong with it. It's just with the Iron Fist, it's just
The Iron Fist
really
does too
good.
much. Correct.
really good. A Blade Dancer costs 40 points.
Really?
So do you think a Blade Dancer would be able to fight one of these guys?
Sure.
Yeah.
You got your 3-up ward save, and you dodge and you duck, and he can't hurt you.
Yeah, there you go.
Right?
Yep.
And
For
you
one round.
Then you got your lightning reflexes, so you're hitting him on 3s.
Yep.
Yeah. You can take this guy easy.
Yeah. Strength 3 attacks.
Maybe not. But he costs as much as 2 of you.
No.
68?
Oh, with the Iron Fist. That's true. So it costs 1.5.
1.5.
Yeah.
1 3/4. Call it.
Yeah.
Can you fight 2 of them?
Yeah, I don't think so.
Bruisers, 165 points for 3. You can add up to 9 more for 88 points a model. Ooh, 88.
Yep.
But this guy has great weapons.
Yeah.
He's carrying multiples.
I guess so.
And heavy armor. Why not heavy armors?
Exactly.
Anyway, Sons of the Avalanche, he's a scoring unit.
And no upgrades.
And no upgrades at all other than
Except
the
usual standard, veteran
the-
standard kind of
correct.
stuff. Yep. And you figure that one of these will get the veteran standard and get that fear thing
Yes.
in every game.
88 points. That's pretty expensive.
Yeah,
These guys,
they do put a hurting on people, but
they do. The first three are what, 60? Less than 60. The first three are 55.
yeah.
That's a huge jump.
Yeah, I think they did that with a lot of the ogre stuff.
Yeah, this one is
It's the same with the guys above, right?
I don't have a problem at all with these guys.
I don't. They're fine.
Because these guys, you can hurt them before they go.
I actually wish they would have given them one more weapon skill.
I wouldn't mind that.
Yeah.
But yeah,
To further differentiate them from the tribesmen.
correct.
That's the only thing. Otherwise, I think, and not increase the cost, just give them one more weapon skill.
You only have 5 of these units per army, though.
Yeah, whatever.
I've seen people taking 3 of these guys as almost like chaff.
It's
Like you
basically a
call them a
chariot.
chariot.
Yeah.
Why would you not take 3 of these? 5 points more. Because you don't have the Iron Fist,
You don't have the Iron Fist.
but that makes these guys more expensive, a lot more. Anyway, whatever. I think this is kind of an interest. This would be kind of interesting to see a couple units of 3 of these running around.
Yeah, the thing is, you're then relying on 3 impact hits. Where the other guys, they're still going as fast or ahead of a lot of people.
With the Iron Fist.
Yeah, with the Iron
Okay.
Fist, and a lot of things aren't hitting them well, so they may actually survive
Okay. I was thinking about using these guys kind of hanging around the sides of a unit to try to flank support for your tribesmen.
Right. No, I think you take those guys. You take them as a block, but you only do that if you're not using the other guys. If you're not spreading your characters out and using your tribesmen as your character delivery system,
Okay.
which is what makes them so good. It's not that their ability with the Iron Fist is you do that, and then on top of that you put a
Character in there.
who's basically a monster.
Right.
Yeah, it's really really good. Scraplings. Okay. Goblins for the ogres. 80 points for 15 miles. Unusual that they're 15, not 20, like all the other cheaper guys.
That's an odd number.
Yeah. And they can add up to 50. So they can have 65. This is like one of the biggest units in the game at 6 points per model. Weapon skill 2, so they don't hit a lot, and 1 attack, and toughness 3, strength 3.
Yeah, they're
whatever.
goblins.
Yeah, they're basically goblins.
They are. Same stat line.
But they get the
Oh,
throwing
no,
weapon.
they've got a higher initiative.
They have a higher initiative.
And they come with throwing weapons.
They come with the throwing weapons. So insignificant, and they're scoring. I'm surprised they gave them scoring, but whatever.
Yeah, that's fine.
I figured they're trying to get people to take them, not that you ever would. But then you can have bows if you want to, up to 100 models per army. You can have a shield, you can have a spear. I just don't see why you'd pay those points.
Paying a high price for them.
Yes, you are. Paying more than a lot of other people do. They
Yeah,
have
no, like
a
I
lot
say,
better fighting capability.
Comparing them to the goblins earlier, goblins are paying 1 point a model
Yep, works.
for a bonus. And the orcs are paying 1 point
Yep,
a model.
exactly. It's and then the scrappling foreman, you have to pay double cost for him.
Really?
Yeah, he's basically got better weapon skill, and he gives him the special ability,
As a unit champion gains hold your ground.
but only for scrapplings.
Really?
Yeah, I don't see the point.
Oh no, it gives it a built-in reroll for your
I understand.
That's actually not bad.
I
for
mean,
10
I'm
points.
not a fan of the unit.
Okay. No, 10 points.
Well, that's true because you have the other thing that doesn't affect. I'm sorry, I was
correct.
thinking that
They're
the
not
other thing
affected by
affected.
the other thing.
Yes. So
So a rerollable 6.
yeah, for 20 points,
Or that's not bad.
it's not bad,
Or if you're within the general's range, you're rerollable 9
right?
for 10 points to give you the reroll. That's actually not bad at all.
Not bad if you want to put points in this unit.
Halberd. I don't like seeing halberds on weird units.
Yeah, that's fine. Well, it's another special attack in the unit. I mean, I don't. This is a unit I wouldn't want to pay any extra points for, if I even ever thought about even taking it.
And this is another. It's another weird ops. He's a champion, but he gets a different weapon than the unit.
Yes.
Of course, you're paying for it. So
Yeah.
okay, was odd. And then special mercenary veterans. 270 points for the first 3. That means you're paying 90 points apiece for them. You can add up to 4 models at 110. So there is a bit of a upgrade there. 20 points a model to go with the next guys. They come with heavy armor. They have Sons of the Avalanche. They're a scoring unit. And they are battle scarred. Battle scarred means each unit of mercenary veterans must be given 2 of the special rules listed below, which has to be written on the army army list. Poison attacks, bodyguard, lethal strike, swift stride, vanguard, thunderous charge, armor piercing 1, and accurate. Each special rule may only be taken by a single unit of mercenary veterans in your army. So if you have multiple units, you can't stack up on either one of them. Can take any weapon, may take a weapon. Paired weapons, again, why does it belong? Why is this in this list? Brace of ogre pistols, I can see why this is in the list.
Yes.
Halberds, I definitely understand why this is in the list. Great weapons doesn't need to be bother in this list, because you bump this up, brings you strength 6.
Yep.
And if you want to combine this thunderous charge with it, you're at strength 7 anyway.
Yep.
And it's either halberd or iron fist or brace of pistols. It's one of those 3.
They're all fantastic choices.
A brace of pistols I'm not sold on so much anymore. This unit, the dangerous thing used to be.
I'm not as thrilled about it, only because I think this unit wants to be fighting.
Correct.
And not shooting.
I mean, the standard build for a long time, and may still be, was the brace of pistols with poison attacks.
Poison.
And there used to be another thing that gave you ballistic skill 5.
And now they have accurate.
So now you have accurate instead, which is equivalent to ballistic skill 5.
Yes. At long range.
At long range. So that means you're hitting people at long range and with poison shots.
Yep.
So anyway, that was the old standard build, so I can see the brace of pistols. But I think you're
it's
right.
A good build,
this
but
army needs to be fighting.
It needs to be fighting, and I believe you either go halberd for the high strength, or you go with the broken iron fist, which makes these guys even more insane.
Yeah, they're only 5 attacks each at strength 5 if you go with the iron fist.
Exactly.
I think you can give up the extra point of strength
with a +1
for the extra attack for an initiative 4.
Yes.
And bump your armor down to 4 up.
Yeah.
So I think that's the choice.
I mean, iron fist is just too good.
Unless you're playing, like I've seen people play this different with halberds and stuff in a tournament where they're expecting a lot of monsters, whatever.
You play the halberds, I think, if you're not taking other options that are giving you high strength.
Correct.
And you need something with high strength, because it'll cut through anything. But yeah.
Yeah, and these, as far as the bonuses, the poison attacks combined with shooting, I've seen. I don't think I've ever seen bodyguard. I see swift stride and thunderous charge combined.
Yeah,
I almost never see vanguard. I've seen armor piercing once, and I was shaking my head, wondering why.
Yes.
If you're going to take armor piercing, why not take lethal strike and try to go the whole way?
Exactly.
I think this is better than armor piercing.
I'm actually kind of surprised no one takes bodyguard.
Really? Get stubborn.
Yeah, because you're still not you're not a large unit.
Right.
And yeah, you're putting out just a ton of, brick ton of attacks.
Well, I mean,
but there's things that somebody hits you in the flank or whatever.
Yeah. Bodyguard means you have to have a character in there.
Correct.
And it's already an expensive unit.
It is.
And they're pretty much a unit of characters as it is.
They are.
The only thing they're lacking from the characters is 1 point of toughness.
And survivability.
Because of the magic stuff.
The toughness and the magic stuff.
Yeah. So anyway.
And the weapon skill isn't incredible.
Yeah, they're only 4s.
Yeah.
3 initiative base, but with the toss the Iron Fist onto it, and you go up to 4.
I mean, it bothers me that they're initiative 4 and they're striking.
They're going too
ahead
fast.
Of so many. They're just going too fast.
Yep.
Which is the problem with that combo. But yeah, I don't think they should have. I mean, I'd rather they tone down their initiative so they went a little later and they improve their weapon skill.
They're only 4s.
Yeah.
You can give 4 to the bruisers, the great weapon guys.
And
give
make these guys
5.
5s. Yeah. I mean, they are elite. I don't have a problem with them being elite. They're just You just don't want them going ahead and just mowing through anything that faces them.
Which is pretty much what they do.
Because, I mean, you're going to have, say you have 8 of them. Oh, my gosh.
It's only 5 attacks each from the front rank if you've got the Iron Fist.
Exactly, and 3
6
in the
from
back.
the champ.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And then 3 per the guys in the back. It's just, or, I mean, the other thing is maybe it's just, how big is this thing? They can go up to 8, correct?
I think so. No, 7.
7, sorry, 7.
7 in the character.
Yeah, that's why I always see 7. So,
right.
Yeah, it's just so many attacks on that you can get out of this unit. It's just insane.
At a decent initiative, and it's just
at a better than average initiative.
Right.
Yeah,
fantastic unit. I mean, they're pricey. 110 points a model.
They are pricey.
They do get up there.
But they're more than worth it.
600,
especially with that Iron Fist.
It's like an 800 point unit by the time you just put. Before you take a weapon, this is an 800 point unit.
Mm-hmm.
It's what, 3. Oh, no, it's not 8. What am I thinking? Oh, no. Yeah, because that's 440, 600. You're 710.
Yeah.
You're at 710, and then 60 for command. You're at 770.
Yeah, it'll be a little over 800.
And then you add another 140. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not cheap.
Yeah, that's, if you're paying a 4,500 point game, that's almost a quarter of your army. Just under a quarter of your army, right?
Yeah, 20% or so. But yeah, it's definitely a unit. If you're fighting against it, you want to find out ways to get rid of it without having to fight it.
Yeah,
melee.
You've got to pour fire into it and get it down.
And them having the heavy armor and the Iron Fist makes that harder.
Well, the advantage, if you hit it in the flank, they only have 10 attacks coming at you.
Yeah, exactly.
How bad could that be?
At initiative 4, says.
At initiative 4.
They may go by.
Unless, of course, your opponent is random 3, 3, and 1 in the back.
That's true.
So then he goes up.
Yeah,
then he goes up to 15 attacks.
Yeah,
That's pretty punishing.
Brings us to Tusker Cavalry.
Yep.
They start with a base of 2 for 300 points, so 150 each. And then the additional models are, you can have up to 2 more. So the maximum size is 4, 140 points for the additional. So the points difference for the base and the additionals aren't that different.
No.
Slightly more. Of course, you're not going to rank these guys up, so that's okay. You're limited to 0 to 3 units in the army. The rider gets movement doesn't matter. I actually wish they'd simplify the charts for the just take off the movement that doesn't apply to units and leadership and
take off the leadership, the movement for the raider, and the movement leadership
right.
for the.
And if it doesn't apply, or even the toughness, if it doesn't apply, they should just take it off the chart. Where you have a combined profile.
Wounds, toughness,
Yeah. Anyway, weapon skill 3, so not a great weapon skill, and ballistic skill 3, but not shooting, so it doesn't matter. Toughness 4, strength 4, so okay toughness.
Toughness 5.
Oh, for the rider, yeah. I'm sorry. For the
model,
for the rider,
5.
And then 3 wounds and initiative 2, 3 attacks, leadership 8. Then you got the Tusker. Now you're up to 8.
That's a really fast.
So it's quite quick. It's faster than a lot of the knights in the game.
It's faster than a lot of cav.
Yeah.
Wow.
Right. It's got weapon skill 3. Now you've got toughness 5 and strength 5 for the mount. So the whole combined thing is toughness 5. 3 wounds together, so it's still 3 wounds, and also initiative 2 and 4 attacks. So you basically have 7 attacks, and you have 3 wounds with these guys, but with a toughness 5, and you're moving pretty darn fast. Yeah. And for only 2 guys, your frontage is small, so you can really use that movement pretty effectively. It's got mounts protection 5 and heavy armor, so you can get this. So that's starting off. You're getting the guy at a 3.
Yeah, you can't go better.
Yeah. So then the unit gets impact hits D3 instead of just impact hits, but they're always going to be in 1 rank, so it will be strength 5 impact hits, which is very nice on top of their attacks. They cause fear, always a nice thing to have. We've talked about that a lot. They're scoring on top of it. They can take a great weapon. I don't know.
The interesting thing about
or
the
you
great
can take
weapon
you can take the light armor and the Iron Fist.
Yeah, the great weapon, your armor stays at 3 up.
Right. I was gonna say in the old days you wouldn't take the great weapon because of the hit the armor.
Correct.
Now you got to think about it because the Iron Fist is really good, but even if you think about it to a certain degree, you go, okay, I can have 3 strength 6 attacks. But, well, I've already got 4 strength 5 ones. And if I take the Iron Fist, and it's only 10 points, I'm going to be initiative 3, and anyone hitting me back at me, and I've got,
Your only weapon skill 3.
toughness 5, so most people are only going to be hitting me on 4s. So it makes me a lot more resilient in the grind. This thing is really built more so they really grind through
Infantry.
low to medium, toughness protected guys, because just a sheer number of attacks.
Yep.
I mean,
with the Iron Fist, you're putting out 8 attacks a model.
correct. And so I think you take the great weapons if you have nothing else in your army, but the thing is, there's other choices that are just much better.
Correct.
So they made it close, but
No, I don't see the great weapon.
if the points were switched around, you might think about it a little harder. But
Oh. Yeah, and it easily should be switched around.
it should be, yeah.
Because the Iron Fist is worth way more.
It is. It's just good. And then as usual things, it can take a full magical standard. So
Okay.
a solid unit. I mean, I've seen them in 2s. I've seen them in 4s.
It's a solid unit, and I don't mind seeing this. I don't have an objection to this unit until you get to the Iron Fist. with
Yeah,
this unit.
that's my only problem. And it, mounted with the parry rule
Yes.
on this type of unit, it's broken on guys on horses, but it's not broken on this guy. Yeah, something's wrong. Yeah, I think it's too
Well,
much.
it's cav, not monstrous. This is monstrous cav.
Yeah, exactly.
That's different.
Exactly.
They're much wider bases.
Yes.
That means they're more vulnerable
They're more vulnerable with their
to
toughness 5.
something.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what.
So,
but
but a great unit in the army. I mean,
oh, it's fantastic.
yeah. It's just competing with your mercenaries.
3 up armor, but the toughness 5 covers that fairly well.
And this is that item we talked about. You'd be able. If you can't take mercenaries, you're just going to take more of these.
Oh,
Yeah.
correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. You can only have 3 units of them.
Yes. Which means you're not going to have a whole bunch. You're not going to spam the units of 2.
And then we go to Yetis. 160 points for 2, and add up to 3 more for 70 apiece. So
Right.
they're 80 for the initial guys.
Yep.
Another 70 for this. They have an innate defense 5, so they've got 5 up armor, paired weapons. No Iron Fist. Wow, that's a
And they're
shame.
already initiative 3.
They have okay. They have Swift Stride. They cause fear. Vanguard and light troops.
And this is a change in
Oh,
1-3.
oh, never mind.
they're not
Got the
skirmish.
initiative. Sorry.
Yeah. They are light troops now, so they get to stay ranked up when they fight.
Yeah, the disadvantage is that they're no longer -1 to be shot at.
Correct. They're easy to shoot at though, because they don't have a lot of armor.
But they're toughness 4 with 5 up armor. Yeah, that's
Yes.
kind of tough. That makes them kind of vulnerable to shooting.
But they're not that expensive.
No. Enemy units in contact take a -1 to initiative for each unit of Yetis in base contact.
For each unit. Yes.
So if you can get 2 units on one, you
Yes.
get them a -2.
If you can stack them on. This is a
And your paired weapons, so your initiative is 4. So if you can charge 2 of these into a unit of elves, you might be going first.
yeah. Well,
Some elves.
and if you can use these with your other units,
Correct.
it's a buffing unit. I'm
debuffing
actually
unit.
debuffing unit. I'm actually surprised you don't see. I guess you're just so wanton for choice, but I'm surprised you don't see more of these in the army. Because,
Yeah.
especially with movement 7 and Swift Stride,
Movement 7 and Swift Stride is really good.
they're basically cavalry.
Again, they're
you
a
know.
little, I guess, that people are looking at them as they're a little fragile now that they're -1 to be shot at.
Right.
Hmm.
But you're not paying a lot of points for them. 3 of them. They're
Comparatively.
compared to a lot of
Oh,
things.
160 for 2.
For 2 of them. I'm sorry.
2.
Because
Because you're getting 3 ogres for 160.
correct.
Yeah, these are better.
They
I
are.
think I'd rather have 2 of these than 3 ogres.
Yeah, I really like what they've done.
Strengths up.
What they've done with these. If I was going to have,
Yeah, they're nice.
this would probably be my choice of chariot unit.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
They're nice. Scrapping trappers.
Yes. Oh, I'd even forgotten that they'd separated these guys.
So,
Yeah,
yeah, because it used to be an upgrade.
correct. Start with 5.
Sorry about that.
Yes, it's past your bedtime. What was it, 4:30?
It is. It's 4:45.
Yeah.
All right. What do we got? Trappers.
Yes, so they have throwing weapons, just like the other guys. It's insignificant. They're scouts, they're skirmish, they're vanguard. They're not cheap.
No.
for what they are.
Especially the first 5.
Yeah, they can have a champion. They're not scoring like the other guys where you're limited to 3 of them. The normal tripwire, but yeah, they're not that cheap for 5 guys. And then it's one of the great name. It's a trap. Admiral Akbar.
Yes.
the any forest, fields, or ruins terrain features become dangerous terrain 1 for the remainder of the game if the time of deployment or at the end of the movement phase a non-fleeing unit. Scrapping Trappers is in contact with it. Models that don't treat these features as dangerous terrain treat them as dangerous terrain 2 instead. Scrapping Trappers do not test for dangerous terrain when they're moving through. So this is the old, frankly, this is a holdover from...
Any forest field becomes dangerous terrain for the remainder of the game.
Correct. If they're touching it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So they make a piece of terrain dangerous.
Correct. Or multiple, they can touch multiple. And then if it's already dangerous terrain, which like a field is for cavalry, for example, or ruins is for everybody, it becomes dangerous terrain in 1 or 2, which is really nice.
Yeah. I can see a use for these guys. And they've got this same thing that my Goblin Raiders and Spiders have, and that's Scout and Vanguard, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
It's a nice combo. Especially these guys when they have this terrain affecting things, because you can scout them into a piece of terrain, Vanguard back out to get back into your line, and maybe clip 2 pieces of terrain or whatever with that.
Yeah, it's okay.
It's a trick, but and they're cheap, 80 points for 5.
Yeah, they're not that cheap compared to some of the other choices, but yeah.
Anyway, they're cheap for giving you this little ability.
I'd probably be more likely to take these than to take the regular ones, but
correct. Well, these aren't scoring or anything like that.
Right. At least they're messing with people.
Yep. Saber-toothed Tiger.
Yes.
80 points for 1 model.
Yep.
And can add up to 19 more for 30.
Yep.
This is a case of the cave troll.
Yes.
Where people love to take 1, so they have to price them way out of range.
Yes.
That's the same as these guys, wasn't it? Yeah. Anyway. Insignificant. If it's 8 or more, you count towards core.
Yes.
Okay. Movement 8, nice and fast. Weapon skill 4, strength 4, tough 4. This is a nice stat line.
It is.
The difficulty is no save at all.
Correct.
Tough 4 with no save at all and 2 wounds apiece.
And crappy leadership.
Real crappy leadership. 3 attacks though.
Yeah.
They're not bad. These are chaff.
They're a fantastic chaff piece.
They're a nice chaff piece.
Anytime you can get a single model chaff piece, it's fast.
Yep.
And 8 is fast.
8 is very fast.
That is. It's not with the new musician rules and all that stuff. You have to worry about it, but it's still when you get them out of the bubble.
Correct.
They're a nice unit. I'm actually surprised. I don't see a lot of them. They used to be in the old Warhammer. You'd see these in every army.
Yes.
Without exception.
The maxed out number in every army.
And now quite often I don't see them.
They're disappearing more because people hate paying that 80 points for 1.
Yeah, well, part of it's people I think are still in the mindset of the old points.
Yeah, and it's just such a huge cost though compared to the add-ons.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's more than double what the add-ons are. It's the same thing that stopped me from taking the cave trolls. That's why I kind of called them that.
Yeah.
I used to take the single cave trolls as the redirectors, and now they're like 120 points.
Yeah, but they're more expensive, and they don't move as fast as this guy.
Correct.
And they're stupid.
These guys are nice, though.
These guys are nice. They're still a nice choice.
The one thing the problem they might have is being teared off.
Sure.
If they're not in the bubble.
Yeah. Well, tear it off. They're fast enough that you shouldn't put them anywhere near a terror causer.
Correct.
Well,
if you're using them for chaff, though, that's the problem. Right. Is when you line them up to be chaff, the terror guy just charges them and then redirects into something else.
Yeah.
What do we got next?
The Kin Eater.
Yep.
200 points.
Mm-hmm.
It's a single model unit, up to 3 of them in the army. Gets regen 5. Fear, causes fear. Gets ambush, has hatred, so rerolls misses, and is unbreakable. Moves 6, so usual ogre speed. Weapon skill 3, so not particularly great weapon skill. Strength 5, toughness 5, so resilient and strong. 4 wounds, so takes a little extra punishment. Initiative 3, slightly higher initiative for these guys.
Yep.
4 attacks, leadership 7. Always liked this model, even in previous editions.
Yeah. It's a nice piece.
I think anytime you can have anything unbreakable that's got a good toughness that doesn't die right away, so unbreakable with regen and high toughness, I think it's a good thing. Ambush is situational. Use it when you need to.
Mm-hmm.
I do think, though, the army is not exactly starved for I'll call it cheap or moderately priced things to mess with war machines. Between with the Yetis and the dogs that we just read about.
No, and the ambush has that problem.
You don't know when it's going to show up. If
That
it does.
may not show up at all.
But it's a nice thing to have in your toolbox against certain opponents.
It is.
But this army now has so many fast movers. Ambush to me is always something you like when you don't have when you have a slow moving army. When you have a quick moving army, it puts pressure fast. It's not quite as important.
Yeah.
Unless you're fighting, of course, against if somebody castles up, it's nice to have it to get behind them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but other than that, I mean, your movement 6 means you're going 12 inches a turn.
Yep.
The other guy doesn't come in until turn 2, probably at best.
Yeah.
So you're already across anyway.
Yeah. So I mean, it's not as
It's not as easy to say that, but
yeah. I mean, I think it's a nice choice.
it is. I see this a lot taken. I see this taken and lined up for most games.
Yeah.
Lined up with your troops.
Sure, you just put it out front for a lot of people.
Right.
Because it is not a tiny amount of points to risk not getting.
Yeah. Not showing up until too late.
But I mean, the thing about ambush is you come in where you need to, and I think people get too wrapped up in coming behind war machines. They don't think about it another.
Right. Coming onto a flank somewhere.
Coming onto a flank at a timely time,
Right.
It can make a big difference.
I agree.
Yeah.
So then we get to the powder keg section.
So 35%. This is all the shooting stuff.
Start off with the thunder cannon.
Thunder cannon.
Dun.
Thunder,
As
the
a
barbarians
bombardier.
cannon.
It's got I
Sorry.
guess that's an ogre. It's got a scrappling crew
Yes.
and a woolly rhino.
The bombardier is
A woolly
a
rhino.
woolly rhino.
Um,
I think it's Wooly the Rhino. That's his name. Wooly.
Woolly the
Hey,
rhino.
Wooly.
Mounts protection 6, innate defense 5.
See here, what I was talking about before. It's a combined profile. I put all the dashes in.
They skipped the ones that weren't necessary.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. Would be nice if they did that.
Yeah, I like to see. That's a suggestion
Makes
for
it clearer.
formatting. Yeah, just
Yeah.
to.
Yeah, good point. So it's got a 4-up armor save.
Yep.
It's toughness 5. It's strength 5.
5 wounds.
5 wounds. Square. Triangle.
Yes.
And you can shoot this as a cannon with a range of 48. A slightly short range.
Mm-hmm.
Strength 4 or 10.
But
It's
it's,
got armor piercing 1. I guess for when that strength 4 hits you.
but it's a moving cannon, so
But it is a moving cannon.
so having the short ranges isn't such a bad thing.
And, if chaff comes around to bother you, just charge it.
No chaff is taking this thing out.
No.
Or you don't bother charging. You just let them charge
Let
you.
it charge you.
Just keep shooting.
Now, back in the old days,
the
again, I used to charge these things in the flank with wolf riders.
right. So the
Because
mount
the mount couldn't fight me.
fight you, but now it fights 360.
But now the mount fights 360, so I can't do that anymore.
Yep.
Things can take care of themselves.
Yep. Got 7 attacks.
So it's basically a normal cannon, kind of, except with a shorter range.
Yes.
But it can move.
And
course, if
it's
it
a cannon on the
moves-
monster, basically.
Of course, if it does move, it's -1 to hit, so it's not
Yes.
going to be hitting very often.
Yeah.
Um,
When you get within 24, it's still hitting on a 5. So
And if you're moving, yes.
yeah.
As a volley gun, it can also be fired as a volley gun with strength 5, armor piercing 2. Wow, that's pretty good.
Yeah. It's basically the cannon.
Does cannon do that same thing?
Yeah.
No? Okay. And now the new rule that you don't take a penalty if you only pivot and shoot.
Right. Because war machines, they pivot freely,
Correct.
but they're stuck to the spot.
Yeah, war machines can't charge you.
No, I'm saying. So they've basically given that ability to this thing.
Correct.
But since they don't have firing arcs, I mean, I think that's okay. How many points is it again? 200 and what? 240?
300, wasn't it?
300, yeah. So it's not that much more than a Aquitaine Trebuchet.
How much is that thing?
I think, if I remember correctly, it's 280.
Okay.
If I remember correctly.
That's an artillery. I mean, that's a pattern thing.
Yeah, but still,
Understood.
it's a war. I mean, because a normal cannon, they cost what, 250,
I don't know.
somewhere around there
Still,
for the like the
don't
Empire
play any army
Sandstall,
that-
somewhere around there.
Don't play any army that uses cannons.
Yeah. So you have that. So you're getting that ability, plus you're getting this fighting ability.
Mhm.
Now, granted, you're not going to use the fighting ability unless
If
You
you're
have
using
to.
the fighting ability, you're not using the cannon.
right. So I don't have a problem with there being a disc. Cause I would kind of feel like I think there's a little bit too much of that in the game. They have two abilities, so they point them as though they have both. They can use both at the same time.
Right.
You know, there should be a big discount. Figure out which one's the more valuable one, and severely discount the second one because you can only use one of them at a
Correct.
time anyway. So yeah,
Yeah.
It's
There's
not
a lot to be
additive.
said for having the choice, though.
yeah, it's a nice thing.
Okay. What's this thing?
Your favorite.
My favorite, the Scratapult. 230 points. It's got a scrappling crew of 7 and a woolly rhino. Yeah, I thought he was up there. He's back
He
here.
was. It's on both.
Again, it's a 4-up armor save. It's a only toughness 4 for this thing with 5 wounds.
Yes.
Because it's toughness 4 because it's run mainly by the scraplings, not an ogre. So it's not as well built, maybe.
Could be.
Anyway, here we go. Here's the thing on this thing. It's got a Scratapult, a Catapult 6, which is the
6x6. So
6x6, up to 6x6. So it's going to only hit up to 36 guys.
Yep.
It's artillery weapon with a range of 12 to 48. Slightly short range, but still, it moves. 48 will reach from one edge of the board to the other.
Yep.
So it's hard to get out of its range. Strength 3, standard as a catapult, and lethal strike.
Yep. Doesn't have a hole.
No hole. So
Doesn't have one high strength. This is an area attack weapon.
Definitely does not have that multi-use where you can use it as a monster hunter.
Right.
As well. It's strictly a unit.
Correct.
Anti-unit thing. And again, you can pivot and shoot without taking a penalty if you didn't move. And it's insignificant. This thing is fantastic.
Yeah. No, it's
The number of hits this thing gets.
I mean, this and the Empire Mortar comes to mind
Correct.
as the other 6x6. I think 6x6 is too much
Way too much.
for any of them, unless it's like strength 1.
Correct.
You know, strength 3 is still any human or elf is going to be just terrorized by this, or rat.
My orcs are terrorized by
Yeah.
this. I mean, it's still wounding on a 5.
You know.
And it's hitting so many more
And
that
then
it makes up for the difference.
absolutely. And then you put it on, with a lethal strike, so even knights are kind of concerned about it
Yeah, because he's going to roll a few 6s.
because
if
you're
he's
going to roll a
hitting
few
your whole
6s,
unit.
especially if you have a lot of them. You have 2 of them, you're probably going to lose 2 of them. I mean,
Correct.
yeah.
And the other thing to note is the lethal strike is not in. There's no under the hole, so
correct.
the lethal strike
It's
is on every shot.
single model.
Yeah.
And then once again, fighting it's not that easy because it's only got toughness 4, 5 wounds like a lot of other war machines, but it's got 3 strength 5 attacks, so it does
3 strength 5 and 7 strength 3 attacks.
yeah.
So it can defend itself a little bit.
So it can defend itself a little bit, and it's
Well, I mean, I compare this with the 180 points for a catapult, a splatterer for
Right.
the orcs and goblins, which is strength 3. It's a bigger range, but it's only a catapult 4.
yes.
I'm only hitting up to 16 guys.
Yep.
This thing's hitting,
But you have the high strength attack.
and I have a high strength attack. I would trade the high strength attack for this thing
Oh, I would too. I
in
mean,
a heartbeat.
Aquitaine having something like this would be fantastic.
Yeah, this is what the
An army that has a problem fighting against blocks of guys.
correct something to break up blocks. This is fantastic.
Because this is an army that doesn't have a problem fighting against blocks of guys.
Yep,
So yeah, this thing is
it's too cheap for what it does.
it's too cheap for what it does.
Simple. I mean, it's only, like I said, it's only 50 points more than a catapult,
Yeah.
and it's infinitely better.
Well, it depends on the catapult. Some are more expensive.
Correct.
So yeah, no, I think it's just just too cheap for what it is. I don't think it's an accident that every time I see an ogre player now, they have their cannon models out there and they're using them as catapults.
Catapults. Correct.
You know.
Yeah. It's so much better.
for the points difference, yeah. Brings us to Bombardiers. Pilot the Bombardier. 3 models, 220 points. Scoring unit. You can add up to 5 extras for a total of 8 for 75 points per model. So, not cheap, but not expensive either. Movement 6 as usual. Ogre stats. Weapon skill and ballistic skill 3. Strength toughness 4. 3 wounds. Initiative 2. 3 up armor and leadership 7. It's got light armor.
A magic standard. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. It's got light armor, so, 6 up BFD.
Yeah, why bother?
Yeah, why bother? Why pay for it? Sons of Avalanche standard rules, got scoring. And the only upgrades it has is the standard champion standard. And it can take a full 50-point banner. Kind of surprises me, but whatever.
It is a special.
Yeah, but it counts as a special, so... I understand why it's not a veteran, because veteran goes generally to the core guys.
Correct.
Yeah, but it's more of a support unit to
Right.
me, but it does have scoring, so I guess it's also combat. The hand cannon. Shooting weapon, range of 24, so same as most shooting weapons. Strength 4 out to 24. Very nice. Multiple shots, D6. So 3.5 on average per model. So you're talking about 10 shots with 3 guys.
Correct.
So the same as a unit of handgunners,
Correct.
with armor piercing. Hand cannons do not suffer the negative hit to hit marvels for moving and shooting or multiple shots. That is just these guys, they move faster than Sylvan Elves. They don't shoot quite as far, but they shoot farther with a higher strength.
How far does Sylvan Elf shoot?
30.
They move 6 and shoot 30.
They move 5.
No, I'm saying.
Oh, these guys move 6
and shoot 24.
And shoot 24.
That's 30.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Sylvan Elves are 30 plus
Okay,
5.
35,
So,
okay.
yeah. They also don't pay for moving and shooting. But they don't have a multiple shots ability, so,
Right. Ooh.
And then they're not strength 4 all the way out. And then, so, yeah, it's... I think this is arguably the best, if not... At least one of the best...
Shooting units in the game.
I'll call it archery type of shooting units in the game.
Yeah, ballistic skill shooting units in the game.
Yeah. Because, it's a 3, but when you don't have to pay the
3,
cost
but
for...
they're moving and shoot. They don't pay multi-shot.
Yeah, so you're usually hitting
So
on...
what are you paying? Range?
You're going to pay range.
And that's it?
4s and
cover?
5s, unless they're uncovered. But, so you're hitting on 4s and 5s,
Oof.
and you're being able to move and get your... get things in the range.
Or move and turn. Yeah.
Yeah, turn around if somebody tries to get around you.
Yeah, that's the big thing with this one.
Yeah, you can't sneak up to them.
I mean, you try to slip around to their flanks, they just turn and shoot you off.
Yeah. The things are... Yeah, these things are really good, I think, for the points.
Yeah. We needed an ogre player on this just to abuse him during this whole thing.
Yeah, probably so. Anyways, my only real issue is I think they should pay for
the multi-shot.
or for the... I think I prefer them pay for the moving and shooting, but pay for one of them at least.
I think it's more appropriate for the multi-shot
Yeah,
because
that's fine. You're saying that. Well, they're basically the old fluff. They were holding cannons. They weren't holding.
Correct.
They weren't holding handguns for
Right.
pistols.
well, I mean they're at range 12. They're hitting you on 4s.
Yes.
Right now,
Yes.
with each one doing multi-shots. Strength 4, D6 multi.
I don't mind that for a static unit.
Oh, okay. 'Cause
Right.
You can get to its flanks and
Right.
Okay.
But it's not a static unit, so that's the thing.
If it was, or you know what, I would go with pay for the multi-shot or get rid of the moving and shooting and be cumbersome,
Yeah.
unwieldy, whatever that rule
Yeah.
is. So then you're -2 if you turn and shoot.
Yeah. That's the thing. I just think they're too maneuverable for the amount of
They are.
firepower that they have.
They're very.
And I'm generally not a fan of archery units in the game because I think compared to war machines, they just don't put out enough oomph.
Correct.
But-
This may be the exception.
But this is the exception because even when you get to them, they're still ogres. I mean, they're not incredible fighters, but
And strength 4, armor piercing 1. That's
Yeah.
gets through 2 pips of armor.
Yep.
That's pretty hefty,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
So they can shoot at the arm, more heavily armored stuff and still have a chance of slipping
Yep,
them through.
and it makes it, just makes you can pretty much eliminate chaff with them. It's just
Yeah.
it's a nice unit. I have to say that if I was playing ogres, I probably wouldn't take them just because I think there's some other choices that are just better.
Right.
But it's yeah, I just think it's too much. Not a lot too much, but
No.
just comparatively to other armies that are supposed to be known for their shooting.
Now we come to the Chain Beast
Chain
section.
Beast.
We'll start with the Rock a Rock.
30% of the army.
480 points. So same price as a Spider. Gargantula
Right.
in my terms.
Yes, and you can take two unless you have one with the character. Then you can only take one.
So, and that's the same restriction on my Beastie.
Yeah.
You boom at 7, weapon skill 3, strength 7, toughness 6, wound 6. It's only initiative 2, attacks 5, but he is frenzied, so that'll go up to 6 at least until you beat him up a bit. And he's got a rider on top who's
Just
an
your
ogre.
regular ogre guy.
Who's an ogre?
Yeah.
Who's got an ogre crossbow, by the way.
Yes.
So it's got a 4-up armor. It does 3d3 strength 7 hits. It is frenzied. That's
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 minus.
its Achilles heel, its weakness, or
But
whatever.
with that item that you get to reroll your leadership checks, it's not so
Correct.
bad.
Yes, he is stubborn. He's got swift stride, and he's got the stone skin, which means he takes half wounds.
On multi-wound items.
Got multi-wounds items. He's got an ogre crossbow, and he can replace that with a hunting spear or
For
a
free.
lance.
Or a lance.
I think you probably, I don't know. You kind of want this thing moving forward, so you might switch off to the hunting spear.
I would think about the hunting spear. Probably as an option. I mean, the lance is kind of nice, but you have to charge to get.
Yeah,
That makes it 3 strength, 6 attacks.
correct. To add on to your
On top of the
strength,
5
or
or
6,
6,
strength
yeah.
7.
So it is. That lance is to me is a very tempting thing to take
It's interesting.
because you're not going to do. I mean, with hunting spears, it's a single shot, but you get
Yeah.
the multi wound against certain things.
The hunting spear is kind of nice
Yeah, but it only shoots like
because it
12
gives
inches.
you when you can't really get to something. Something's
Yeah,
playing tag with you, running around circles.
but it would seem to me that turn 1 you're usually going forward, and turn 2 you're charging.
Correct. So,
So,
throwing
I
weapons.
mean,
you lose.
we've seen a lot of people sit back with these guys,
Correct.
but
And because they don't like the matchups that's in front of them.
yeah,
This is a really nice piece.
it is very nice. It's one of the better monsters because it's so survivable.
It's so survivable, and it's strength 6.
Yep.
It's tough, same as a spider. It's tough 6, defensive 4.
Yes.
It's only got 6 wounds. Spider has 8.
Yes.
The difference is this one puts out strength 7 attacks,
Yes.
which is fantastic,
And it's more resilient to multi wounds,
and it can soak up multi wounds,
Yep. which helps you
which is
against
cannons and things like that. to get
cannons
you
and a
there.
number of magic items, and so yeah,
Yeah. So
spells.
I like this a lot. This is a fantastic monster.
Oh yeah, I don't think it's an accident you see people with 2 of them in their army.
Correct. This is one of the
Yeah.
better monsters in the game. Moving on. What's next?
The Frost Mammoth. 3 of these in the army, same category.
Wow, you can't have 3.
Yeah, 380 points. This is also strength 6, toughness 6. Only has 4 attacks at initiative 2, but also has 6 wounds. I'm sorry, it's strength 6 instead of strength 7 like the other one. So it's slightly weaker, but strength 6 is more than good enough. It's got 2 riders, so twice the number of ogres, but they're still just ogres. Strength 4.
Yeah,
and-
it's only strength 4 attacks.
Yeah, and which also has innate defense 4, so 4-up armor save. Special rules: it's got impact hits D3, which is okay. Has a freezing aura, which we'll come to. You get an ogre crossbow. What's unclear to me here is you have 2 riders if they both have ogre crossbows.
Each rider has an ogre
I
crossbow.
assume that's what
I would
that
read
means.
That as.
That's what I would interpret it to mean.
Any rider may replace its ogre crossbow for hunting
Yeah,
spear.
that's
free.
how I would
So
interpret-
I'm
yeah, yeah.
saying you got both.
'Cause I think the old model, because I have 2 of these somewhere in my
I think
basement.
the old model you only have 1, don't you?
What's that? Well, no, you have 1 of each. One guy had 1, the other guy.
one
Yeah,
spear
yeah.
got the other. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So here, then it has this freezing aura. The model can cast Chilling Hell from Shamanism as a bound spell. Enemy units within units suffer -3 initiative for each Frost Mammoth within 6 inches to a minimum of 4. So minimum of
Minimum
1.
of 1.
Sorry. So another buff or
Another
debuff, I
initiative
guess,
debuff.
for initiative for an army that has the Iron Fist to make its initiative even better.
Correct.
and the Yetis on top of this thing. It's just just makes the Iron Fist just so much more annoying.
This is interesting though. Look at the riders are an ogre and they're initiative 3 ogres.
Yes.
What the hell? I wonder what that's about. Anyway,
I don't know.
Not that it matters on this piece because you're going to be minus 3 initiative fighting it.
Sure. Yeah, I guess it matters against elite elves.
Yeah, I'm just curious why. Why the ogre
I didn't even notice it, but yeah,
is
you're
a
right.
better ogre than
Yeah,
a
it's
normal ogre.
Rather odd.
Doesn't make a lot of sense. But
It doesn't. But
not that that point of initiative means anything.
sure. But this is a nice. I mean, it's a nice monster just being a monster.
It is.
You know,
And it's a buff wagon on top of that.
and it's a buff wagon on top of that.
Debuff wagon.
I mean, it's not nearly as fighty as its brother above, but it's still.
It only has D3 strength 6 impact instead of
Yes.
3D3 strength 7.
And you want the shooting on this because you're not necessarily going to be in combat because you want to keep it close to your dudes.
Your blocks, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's still fantastic.
It's
a
really
great
good.
model.
I think the only reason you don't see more of them is because people want to max out their points on the Rock of Rocks.
Rock around.
Yeah.
Yep. And then we come to the champion of the list, the
Yes.
slave giant. These 280 points. He's got
Well, as giants go, this is the best one.
he's got heavy armor, so he's got a 5-up armor save.
Oh baby.
He's got pretty much the same stat line, except he's only got a leadership of 8.
Yes.
Most giants have a 10.
Yep.
Other than that, the stat line's pretty much is the same.
As a regular giant, strength 6, toughness 5,
Yep.
6 wounds, initiative 3.
He is immune to psychology, stubborn, and he's insignificant.
Yes.
He's
Not sure how that works, but yeah.
he's a monster. It's insignificant.
Nobody likes giants.
Nobody likes giants. He's got this rule that makes him a good giant, better than the others. That, in my opinion,
It makes him a what giant?
a much better giant.
Makes him a
than any
better
others.
giant. There's no such thing as a good
There's
giant.
no such thing as a good giant.
Yeah.
It's to do what you're told.
Yeah.
All slave giants may re-roll on the giant attacks table, but must accept the second result.
Yes.
And that's the problem. This table is the problem with the giants.
Yes, it does, and it makes this giant a lot
It
better
makes this giant have a much better chance.
of getting something that you want when you need it.
Correct, or getting away from something that really sucks.
Yes.
There's nothing worse than having your unit go in, your giant go in and support your unit. You do 12 wounds, and then your giant yells at them so they lose by 2.
Yes.
Believe me, I'm very familiar with that.
Yep.
But I mean, yeah, the giant attack table is nice. I mean, it's interesting. The problem is it's so random. Oh, it's really great if I can get this. Well, that's a 1 in 6 chance.
Yep.
It's really great if this happens. Oh, that's only,
Yep. No, it's the table. It's just too random. Giants are bad in the game. It's just
Correct.
I mean, they're flavorful. They can be fun, but they're just bad.
Yeah,
And as giants goes, is the best one because at least you get to reroll.
Correct. Somebody on the orc board posted something about the maybe combining some models, combining some different units, and they thought one of the things that was suggested by somebody was combining the Great Green Idol and the Giant into a single one. And I was like, I don't want to see that. I want the Giant.
So you have 2 bad units together?
Yes. I want the Giant because I like the Giant. I like giants.
I like giants, and I want the Great Green Idol because I got a model.
If you look at my battle reports of some of my fluffy games, you'll see a Giant.
Yes.
You probably won't see him in a tournament, except for that one I did.
There's so many great giant models. You want to see them on the tables as a monster.
You want them to be good.
But this table being so random just ruins that.
Correct.
For competitive play, and since this rule system, let's be honest, is really focused on tournament
competitive play. Yeah.
It just doesn't make any sense to hold on to the same exact chart that GW has on their old giants.
Correct.
So
Yeah, and they yell, and the bellow used to be a really good thing, but now with steadfast around all the time, this is not that great.
Doesn't help at all. No, that needs to go.
Yeah.
Nothing worse than running a giant up to somebody's got like 1 or 2 wounds and you think you can kill them, and you bellow at them.
And yell at them. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, this can be great.
Yeah.
If on that really rare occasion, but yeah, not so much.
Yeah, the one where you have a higher initiative than they do.
Yes, if you go find something with a find something with a 2 or lower initiative, and you yell at them every turn, well, then they're not going to ever attack you.
Yes.
So you got that going for you.
Yeah.
Anyway, giants are just what they are.
They're just bad.
They're bad. And then we have the quick reference sheet, which is the prize of this army.
There you go.
No.
So I mean, you've got 2 great monsters, and you got the giant. You know?
Yeah, well, the giant. I mean, anyway, you have 2 really good monsters. You have really good infantry. You've got these guys who are some of the best
Shooters.
ballistic skill shooting guys in the game. You've got one of the best pieces of artillery in the game.
Yep.
What are you missing?
Some of the best magic. I mean, overall, I mean, you and I both think this book is a bit overpowered. In the States, this army does really well in tournaments. I'm not seeing it in Europe. I guess the meta, we have to figure out what they're doing that we can't do here.
Yeah.
But in all fairness, I think most of the things, I think they've done a good job with the book. It's just, I think there's a few things that the points aren't correct.
Yeah.
And there's a handful of things where the stacking abilities is just a little too much.
Stacking abilities, like I said, the thing that bothers me, like I said initially on this, is armies are designed. My thought on this whole thing with Fantasy Battle, we've got all these 16 different armies. Everyone has their own strengths. Everyone has their own weaknesses.
Correct.
An army needs to have its weaknesses, and one of the weaknesses in this army, in my opinion, has always been, well, it's okay because they're always low weapon skill, low initiative guys.
Yep.
And again, this Iron Fist thing has come along and fixed it.
Yes.
It's fixed your problem, and then, well, the other problem is they have relatively low leadership. They're the same leadership or better than they're around the same leadership of the orcs.
Yes.
I mean, the guys are 9,
and humans.
Your troops are 7s, same as humans, which is considered a low.
Well, some of their
army.
a lot of their troops are 8s.
But
they're actually not low.
Yeah, but again, they get away from it because we have this big name, which gives everyone on the entire table
A reroll.
A reroll for any leadership test.
Yep.
And it doesn't. And the penalty is your army may not include a battle standard bearer.
Yes.
The powder keg, your shooting's reduced, because if you take this, your shooting is reduced, and you must take thaumaturgy, which, again, the way I'm seeing armies going anymore, they're going away from magic.
And this is an army that doesn't need the buffs.
And it's an army that doesn't. You're right. It doesn't
because it has
need
all the buffs
from
built
magic.
into the army. There's a few armies that don't have buffs. So magic, I think, still works for them.
Correct.
There's other armies that they have innate abilities that compensate for having buffs or nerfs. This is one of those armies. So you can get by. You don't lose a lot when you give up on the magic with this army.
No, because they're very strong.
You just take some of the other things and you try to fight. But yeah.
Yeah, there's a guy in the Mid-Atlantic that went through everybody he faced at the last tournament with this army with ogres and no magic and one character.
No magic, no chaff. His chaff.
No magic. His chaff was
a few units of 3 ogres.
Was 2 units of 3 ogres, I think.
Yeah.
And again, went through everyone with this one character, no magic. So it's just I don't need anything else. I've got my troops. My troops are that good.
Yep.
It's what it came down to.
Yep.
So anyway, I think this army's over the top is definitely on the high side of what's out there right now.
I definitely think it's above the midpoint.
And this is a primary.
Yes.
I mean, there's a couple things that need to be fixed. I think if you fix this, you get rid of this.
You fix the big name.
You get rid of the Hell Fist. You've changed the Iron Fist to be what? To give you an armor.
Armor's fine.
An
extra
armor
attack
and an
is
extra
fine.
attack, and that's it.
Yeah.
It's not a paired weapon.
Right.
Make it not a paired weapon and not a so that
And
way it
it
doesn't give you
parry.
initiative. And it doesn't give you parry, and then it's pretty much fixed.
Yes.
It's still a great thing because it's giving you an armor and an
it's
attack.
still fine.
But it's
It basically would be a shield that would be trading parry for an extra attack,
correct.
and which is kind of what it used to be in the old days.
Yeah.
So
So that would fix it. And then the lesser offender, of course, the bombardiers need a penalty somewhere.
yeah, they're just a little too shooty.
Just as again, that's a step down from
For a while that
from the god
cannon counted as a halberd too.
I remember that
Yeah,
it counted as
like-
+1 strength in
It
combat.
was ridiculous, unbelievable.
Like, what do you need? What else do you need in your list?
So yeah, I think it's just generally there's a number of things they just need. A number of units just need a tweak here and a tweak there. Mercenaries, the bombardiers,
Yes.
and the Iron Fist needs to be fixed. The
Yeah.
big names need some points adjustments. The one needs to be changed.
And
You know.
like I said, I hate to say it, but I kind of agree with you that some things kind of need to go up a little bit.
Yeah,
I mean, the what were they? The
bruisers.
the bruisers could use weapon skill 4.
Yeah,
I think that's fine. Right? They're supposed to be better.
yeah. I mean, just they give them better leadership. They're already leadership
Right.
8.
Are they?
Yeah.
They are. Yep. So.
You can actually have a leadership 8 army with these guys.
Oh, okay. So that's better than humans.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is a very powerful army.
It is, and it's easier. It's low model count, so because you have multi-wound models, so it's also, frankly, I think it's a nice army for somebody who wants to get into Ninth Age
Yes.
and they want to get an army painted, and the models are bigger, so they're a little easier to manage painting.
And there's a lot less of them.
There's a lot less of them. You don't need so many models.
Right.
It's strong and pretty forgiving in a lot of ways. So, and you can build a basic core. I think it's a nice. This and dwarves, I think, are nice entry armies into the game.
Yeah.
And then you can build, you can build around monsters and such, and then you can expand into the other categories.
And there's a lot you can do with this army too. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a good fighting army. It's relatively quick moving army.
It's fast. It's fighty.
Yep.
You can do a gun line if you want. So
Yeah.
there's definitely different directions you can go. You can do a quasi monster mash, because your characters are somewhat monsters all by themselves. So
That is true.
yeah. And then those Tusker Cavalry are kind of monsters themselves to a certain degree.
Yes.
So
Yeah. Again, the only thing I see when I see this list and see some of the things in here, I'm like, well, what did the guys do? When the army book was being built, they said, you know what? Let's just throw this up there and see if they'll let us get away with this.
Mm-hmm.
Holy crap! They let us have that. Why don't we try this? They'll never let us have this. Oh, look, they gave it to us.
well, a lot of because this was an army that at the when back in the days of Warhammer, when they had the Ogre army at the beginning of 8th edition, it was really powerful.
Yes.
By the end of 8th edition, it wasn't, because Monstrous Cav had come and they were a counter to Monstrous Infantry. With Ninth Age, Monstrous Cav have been toned down slightly just because of their armor save. And Monstrous Infantry, in a lot of cases, have been giving little improvements.
A little beefed up,
So-
especially with paired weapons across
Exactly.
the board.
And I think Monstrous Infantry now are, some of the better troop options that you can have in the game. And this is an army of Monstrous Infantry. Now, and I think the challenge is that when you look at what was the starting point, every army in the Ninth Age, I think, is better than its starting point, which was an army that it kind of replicated and tried to improve from 8th
Yes.
edition.
I think across the board, armies stepped up.
Every army stepped up in one way. There may have been some rules that are causing problems for specific armies. Aquitaine comes to mind, but but even there, the stat wise, every army is a little better.
Right.
But the challenge is if you're already were at a threshold point, you're that much better.
Correct.
If you were below a threshold point, you're still and there's still some of that. So.
Right.
And I think this is a tough one because it's an army that can very easily, but because of the number of wounds and the number of attacks on all the models, little things can exponentially make it better, and that's kind of I think what's happened here.
Right. Yeah, I agree.
So, but I feel like this is like a lot of armies in Ninth Age. They're not quite there yet, but it's only a few tweaks away from it.
They are.
It's not. I don't think everything in the book is broken and terrible.
Everything in the book is not. Everything in the book is not broken.
You know.
What I tell you what bothers me more than anything about this army and what's been happening with this. We'll take the mercenary veterans for
Mm-hmm.
a problem. It was considered overpowered to give these guys the ballistic skill 5.
Right.
Because the brace of pistols and everything else, ballistic skill 5 was overpowered. So they removed it. And they gave them accurate. Which is +1 to hit at long range. So...
Well, not -1 to hit at long range.
Yeah, not. Okay.
Yeah.
So, basically...
At long range, the ballistic skill 5.
At long range, your ballistic skill 5. At short range, you take a penalty. I mean, you would normally be minus... Your ballistic drop down to ballistic skill 4. But short range is 12 inches.
Yes.
And if something's within 12 inches of this unit,
yes.
this unit is jumping on it and beating the crap out of it.
Absolutely.
So it's like, well, we'll fix it by doing this. Well, that didn't fix anything. That didn't penalize anything.
Right.
You know, I mean, it's... Anyway. The Stratapult or whatever went down in points in the last change. Of course, War Machines across the board went down in points. But the Stratapult went down in points with this huge template.
Yeah.
That erase can, crush units.
It's crush units.
It's just that I don't, over the few changes I've seen, the only thing I've seen that toned this army down any at all was the loss of heavy armor on the tribesmen.
Correct.
Other than that, I just don't see them. So it's
they didn't get 1.2 when most armies got hit.
Right.
They didn't really get hit.
Yeah, and what's like I said, the thing that is it. So I'm looking at it and like, does no one see this?
Right.
Is no one really seeing that this army is in a really good spot?
Yeah.
Compared to a lot of the others, but maybe not. I don't know, or maybe it's just my perception and. There's another side to this where, oh yeah, but this. I'm just not seeing this.
I'm not. That's what I didn't see on the boards. I mean, the ogres don't think their army's too good.
No one thinks their army's too good. Everyone thinks their own army is underpowered.
And I was going to say, but that's the general problem: is everyone thinks their army is underpowered.
Correct.
And I also think a number of armies have a hangover from people remembering how similar armies fought in Warhammer 6th or 7th edition, not even 8th.
Right.
And it's still perpetuating. So the armies that were considered broken back then, they're still getting extra nerfed.
Right, because...
And the ones that were not considered broken back then are getting a pass. So
that's true. That may be...
It just seems that way.
As well, yeah.
It just seems that way to me. I don't know. But it's hard to tell. I mean, they're going to redo all the books.
Correct.
Looks like every book's going to have about the same number of units in it. So
I'm hearing that's a goal, and I hope that's not true.
Yeah, I'm the same. I just want to have certain units better, improved, instead of adding more stuff.
Yeah.
But different people want different things. But so if that does happen, all the armies are going to look very different. The dynamic is going to change drastically.
Correct.
Because this is an army that doesn't have a lot of units. This is a low.
It does not. It's a low unit count army.
Because it's a newer army.
Yeah.
I can't imagine adding more units that are better than the ones that they have.
Don't even say that.
Yeah.
All right.
So I have to give this a thumbs up as an army just because it's so good.
I'm going to give this a definite thumbs up as an army.
Yeah.
I'm going to stick with what I said earlier. I think this is one of the best armies in the game. We've always looked at this system with, we've always looked at 4 tiers. You have the top 4 armies.
Yes.
Then you kind of have the middle 8, but
right.
4 that are slightly better, 4
yes.
that are slightly worse, and then a bottom 4. This is definitely in the top 4 of the.
Absolutely.
Top 4 of the echelon.
Yeah, absolutely.
If not the top.
They can build a fight. I think they can build a fight every army out there.
Correct. I don't see a lot of weakness in this army.
Mm-hmm.
So, and what the weakness that perceived is, again,
right.
made up for. If you look at the pure stats, it's made up for on gimmicks to get around those stats.
Absolutely. It's fast. It hits hard. It's got a lot of debuffs. It's got special abilities to cover its leader. It's got good leadership overall.
Yep. Good monsters, good artillery. Yep. It's just there.
I mean, the only thing it doesn't have is heavy armor. overall.
Correct. Right.
But anyone's not going to shoot this thing because these guys are coming too fast, and they're cheap enough that you can cover the frontage of the table. And we've seen that in a number of games, and there's no. It's not like dwarves when they're all sitting in one little spot. You know?
Correct. They're huddled in one little corner.
Yeah, and they all fit. These guys cover the table.
Yep.
So yeah.
All right. Well, yeah, like you said, it's definitely a thumbs up army.
Yep.
Thumbs down for the design. Thumbs up for the quality for what it is. Right.
All right.
For me, at least. All right.
Okay.
That's gonna do it. Thanks for
Till
listening.
next time.